Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, the topic of today's presentations is, well, since today's, we have heard a lot about, we have bSDD in buildingSMART International. That's really cool. We can do a lot of things by using bSDD. Again, that's really cool. And some people are wondering, well, where does the content which is inside bSDD comes from? How can I manage this content? How can I add my own content in bSDD? How can I make connection between different contents in bSDD? That's the topic of today's presentations. So today you will see 3 different tools that you can use to be able to manage the contents that you will be able then to provide through bSDD. That's the topic of today's session. And the first presentation will be from Aka. Second one will be from CoBuilder, and the last one will be from the French chapter buildingSMART France. Did you have enough time, Jeff? Just maybe 2 minutes more. How many from you in the room have already had a look at what is inside bSDD? Or, well, some of you I know that had more than a look, but how many of you had a look at what is inside bSDD and maybe had a look at how to use the content? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, doesn't count. Okay, so some of you are already aware of what you can do. Now you will see how to can add content and what you can do with your own content inside bSDD.
Okay, so hello everyone. I am Michelangelo Cianciulli from Akka. Today with me there should have been also Andrea Aiello, but he is actually busy in another room, so sorry for that. I will do the presentation, which is about tools that operate using the buildingSMART data dictionary. We will focus on how to create and publish content, but also on how to use this content and also how to validate the models that use those content. And we will do this by using an open BIM workflow. So where all from begin to end, we will only use open standards. Okay. I can do a very fast presentation about bSDD. I don't know if there is the need to do that. Maybe should I do it? Can you raise your hand if you need to do? Okay, so I will go, but very fast through it. It's non-technical presentation. It's more high-level presentation, kind of. So yeah, what is this bSDD? Is an online service provided by the buildingSMART International, which allows you to.
Okay. So I hope you can hear me now online. Who should use the bSDD in the end? Well, from the modelers' point of view, the point is to facilitate their work, and from the point of view of the manager is to allow, in the first step, to define the information that they want in the models. Of course, there are many advanced usages of the bSDD, as I said, about, for example, translation, synonyms, connection to other standards as well. So this may be good workflows that will be in the future, but for now we will see how it's possible to define and to use the content of the bSDD. And for doing so, we will use, as I said, 100% open BIM workflow, which means that from start to end, we will only use open standards. And why we do so? Because you can take any of the tools that we will show and substitute with a model. That's no problem. That's the benefit of the open standards. You can add in between other tools, and at any point, of course, different actors may be involved. They may also work simultaneously because we will work online in a common environment. So basically, it is not only one single user that can access the model. Different users can see the same model from different perspectives and maybe use different domains of the bSDD to enrich the model from different point of view. At any point in time, the user, of course, can go out of this flow by using the OpenCDA. That's one of the software with all the information. The user is the real owner of his data, so at any point in time he can decide to switch to other tools or to other ecosystems. Anytime there will be need to communication between project participants in this workflow, the use of PCF will do. So how does everything start? Is by using any kind of software, any modeling to produce an IFC model, and then by manually uploading or by the use of the OpenCT standard, you can upload the content, the model on the common model. From now on, everything will happen on a SBIM platform, which is our common data environment. And in particular, we have divided this workflow in 3 steps. The first one is about to create the dictionary on the bSDD and to publish it on the bSDD service. So I will skip this video actually because I've done the first part of the presentation, so I have already taken some time, and I will explain what we have done. To show you this generic workflow in practice, what we have done is that we have actually done those 3 steps, and in particular we have taken this document, which is a theme for bridges and structures, which is an information delivery manual, which has been written by or reviewed by AASHTO, which is the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials. And as you can see, this is part of the content. This is very bSDD-like because it says what are the for which entity, which property set and properties we need. Of course, this is not machine readable, so what we have done is that what we will do, I will show you in this video. So maybe can you start the video, please? Sorry? I don't think I can go. Yeah, thank you. So what we have done is that we have taken part of the document, and on our command environment, you can create a new bSDD file. What is the bSDD about? Is about choosing the primary language, and as I said, then there is also the possibility to do translation about the properties that you will define, and to put in some basic information like the name and the organization code that you need to publish content. You will apply the version and stuff like that, but then the interesting part is that you will start to define your classification. Classification is about codes, because they should be machine readable, but also descriptions in a human language. So you can start by creating new classifications. And what we have done is that we have taken only part of this document, not all of it. And we have created some hierarchy also with parent-child relationship. You can also filter, for example, by IFC classes. So, for example, if you want some of the classification to verify some of the elements of the models, so you can do all of this kind of stuff, And when you have done with classification, you will start to define properties. So at the moment they are two separate things. So you will start to define properties. They again have a code because they are machine readable, but also name, descriptions, and so on. And of course, you can start to put constraints like if it is a number, if it is a string, the unit of measure, what are the allowed values, minimum, maximum, and so on. And this is all information that will be stored in the bSDD for others when we will use or validate the models. So we will continue to create properties. And again, for now, they are just, let's say, a library of properties. So for now, they are completely separated from the classification. There are different kind of constraints that you can put. Here you can see when you want a property to be only one of some predefined values, you can start adding in the allowed values, for example. So when you will use this, the user will be choosing the value from a combo box, so he cannot go wrong. At this point, then we have to connect the two things. So we have defined the properties, we have the classification, we have to specify for each classification which property we want to be in this classification. And why we keep them separated is because, of course, the same property can apply to multiple parts of the classification. At this point, of course, you can also define the properties in a way that they are connected to other properties, to other domains of the buildingSMART data picture, and this is possible, but it's shown in this simple example. But then at the end, you have direct connection with the bSDD. So you will first do a validation of your domain, basically, and if the buildingSMART API tells that everything is okay, you can publish directly from it. So we have created our bSDD with the command that we want. What we will do next is that we will take any IFC model produced by any modeling software, and we believe that data and geometry should be kept separated. So we like to think that the modelings are very good at doing geometry. They are very specialized in it, but quite good in terms of data. So by doing this flow, basically what we do is that we use the IFC model, the geometry of the IFC model, but then enrich it with the data from the buildingSMART. So there is another video, you can start it with. So if you remember, we were talking about reach in the data document. So we connect, in this case, to the bSDD, dealing with features and structure that we have just defined. And for example, on the IFC project, we start to classify the element and we start to put in the values. Not only values, but in the bSDD, we also know the name of the property set and the name of the property object, and also the code of the classification. We will see later where this data will go in the IFC mode. We do the same things, for example, on the bridge itself, on the facility part, on the special structure. And you can see that some of the properties have numeric values. So if needed, for example, you can find the needed values in the IFC model. Here, the length of the alignment was taken from the linear placement value of the last reference, but also you can do some filling some values by taking measures, for example. Other properties instead are more textual, like here we have a description, so the user can enter this in a free way. There are no constraints about it, but when the property is constrained, like only some allowed values, then it will be prompted with a combo box. Of course, you can use different domains to classify the same IFC model. So we have classified this with the bSDD that we have just created, but we will also classify it with the use of the mind reach domain, which is already existing on the buildingSMART data picture. So same objects classified with different domains and different properties. So here again, we are taking some measure to fill in some of the values, but this can also be available as other properties, the property sets in a model are available. And so basically, you can see that in this case, the difference also is the fact that the mind dictionary is flat. Instead, the one that we have created usually has had these parent-child relationships, and at the end of everything, of course, you can have your enriched IFC model. And here we will have a look at the classification that we have put, because as I said, then the content that we have just created, we call the IFC classification references and IFC property sets and IFC properties. This is all done automatically thanks to the bSDD workflow, so there is no possibility for the user to go wrong about this. And here we are only looking in the same viewer, but of course more often than not, if you have been asked to classify the model for some reason using one of bSDD, is because probably you are part of more complex open view workflow where you are already part of it, so you receive the model, enrich it, and pass it to the other user that will do other operations about it. It may be further enrichment, aggregation of data, validation, as we will see, or anything else. And so at the moment, we have the model that has been classified, and what could possibly go wrong? I mean, every time, because the actors involved are different, every time someone is asking for a model, like a client or a stakeholder, and someone else is producing it, the model or whoever else, then you always want to be able to validate the content of the model. You want to be sure that the content is there, that it is the constraints are not violated as expressed in the bSDD, and you want to do this as much as automatically as possible. Just to clarify, it's not like that if you pass all the checks that you will see your model, you are not doing code checking, so it's not like, okay, my model is ready to do anything. But it's still important to have those kind of semi-automatic checks because at least it will save time on the client side to not waste time on manually checking files that for sure are not good. And this is a lesson learned from 2 years ago, maybe, or 1 year ago, with the analysis skills, where one of the things that was wasting most of their time was the fact that they were receiving very bad quality IC models and they were wasting time by manually checking them. But anyway, if something bad happens, like the model is not of the desired quality, you can always use the BCF to communicate back to the other project. Last video, sorry. And yeah, a similar tool will do exactly this what I've been talking about. It will validate the model we have just produced. So you can connect to the bSDD and say, okay, let me see if this model is compliant with the checks. Keep in mind that the actor involvement is always different, so it's not like the, again, who creates this also validates it, doesn't make much sense, but try to stick with the example that this could be the client that receives like the model. We have put some constraints and also some values that we put manually just to make the check phase, but basically the classification is the filter, so because everything in the bSDD has the classification, and the properties and the constraints, everything is on the bSDD. So basically we said, okay, for this one, the diameter should be less than has a value of less than 10, and if we say no, there is an error, check it, because if we see what properties this object has, it actually has that property in that property set, but actually the value is 12 and not less, which is not less than 10. So it's not only about this kind of errors, but it's also about okay, this object, for example, has no classification at all. It may be okay to signal as a warning, but it may be that the modeler forgot to apply the classification from the buildingSMART data dictionary. So this is a first check of validation that will allow you to quickly see if the model has a high quality data in it, but does not substitute manual verification, and of course it does not about code checking. So to conclude, again, here are the end of the workflow. You can iterate it if something goes bad, like we have seen in the use of bCF. You can go back to the other actors and do this in a loop to improve the model, the quality of the model. But again, at any point, with the use of the OpenCV API, or basically just by downloading the enriched model, the user can choose to go to another ecosystem. And again, any one of these tools can be substituted with anything else that does the same function. And this, I think, is the benefit of open formats, and is a guarantee for the end users that they are the real owner of their data, which is what matters the most in the end. So that's it. Thank you very much for your attention.
So on my side, I will talk about tool which is called Define. Just quickly, my name is Frédéric, and I'm a member of steering committee of the product group in buildingSMART International, member of buildingSMART France, of course, and working for a Norwegian company which is called Cotherel, which is mainly based in Norway, but with offices in Bulgaria, Italy, France, and UK. I just don't want to bother you with this, just for you to understand where we come from, and then we will go to the topic. So thanks to the first presentation, I don't have to explain you what is bSDD and what it is about. You did it really well, so that's easy for me to jump on this. My subject then is dictionaries and understanding what we are talking about. This tool is based on implementing some standards. So we are really a company based on implementing standards, open standards, ISO and standards, and in this case, that's mainly in ISO 23386 and 7, and another one which is called IFD. I already talked about this morning, so I will not go back again to explain the standards. That's nonsense. But yeah, what is our topic? Our topic is to talk about common digital language, talk about templates, and how to implement and use content coming from standards. In this case, that's the standards coming from ISO, from from specific certification people, and so on. There was the example of CE marking, for example, and to be able to go from unstructured content, you will find this content from PDFs. You will sometimes register to websites to access some specific standard. I will register in France to have known, and I can read the Eurocode, get information, copy paste it somewhere, and know the definition of what I want to use, and so on. The idea of this kind of tool is to be able to digitize this information, to structure and model it following the standards or IFD, to be able to have those right definitions, to get the right access to them, and then to create a data template, which will describe what we call a construction object. It can be a window, it can be a wall, it can be a pump, it can be whatever, and to have all the attributes defined in the subjects being possible to be exchanged the same way, using the same structure and the same models. That's what it is all about. I don't know if the sound will be shared, so I guess it will not. So we will skip the video. Yeah. I'm not sure there is a possibility to share the sound from the video too.
No, I
Okay.
don't.
So no, you will have a slide, so yes, it has changed. And then what we are talking about, that's a common standard-based framework, meaning that this tool defined in the middle will help you define data templates for all information needed to describe a wall, window, whatever. For all those quantities will be needed to describe by data templates. And how does it work? Well, we have the framework coming from ISO standard, which is ISO 126-3, that's another IFD. We implement the process coming from another standard. We structure it following a standard, and we push the content coming from other standards. And I know the camera is stupid, sorry. Meaning that the goal is to take CE marking documents, digitize information, push it, make it IFD. Taking Eurocodes to make structural calculations, find the right properties, push them in the tool, check them. And the idea with this is to go from there. Description of the template. So a window has width, height, and blah, blah, blah. And then I'm a manufacturer. I'm using this kind of dictionaries. I'm able to provide the real value for the properties that I've been defining in my project. So second step, when using a dictionary, I'm able to define products and to describe products following those definitions. So how it works, again, the idea is to say, well, in this tool, I will have 3 people coming from maybe 3 different sources trying to describe the same information. Each of them will be able to create, in this case, that's diameter, yes. All of them will create this property. This will be pushed to the tool and following the standard. Some specific expert of the domain will check it. Is this source credible? Yes, no. Is the source has interpreted correctly the document? Yes, no. Is this really relevant? Does it already exist? I mean, we don't want to create duplicates. So we check if it exists, if it's well defined, and what are the standards or reference document attached to it. If you check all the boxes, then you are allowed to use this quantitative tool, and you will be allowed to push it later on to the different tools. If those boxes are not all checked, our experts are just saying, no, you are not allowed to use this, which is what we use at bSDD at the end, and we will explain you why we will refuse it. It can be a unit issue, it can be a definition problem, it can be a problem to the link to the reference, whatever. We will tell you, just don't have a problem, something may be wrong, and you have to update it before using it in Define and being able to push it in bSDD for the industry to use it. So that's a really important part of this tool, that's this process. And something, well, we've been working on this kind of tools for many, many years, and it appears with all our different kind of customers, which can be governments, international associations, national associations, but also huge contractors, huge manufacturers, or association of manufacturers, that we have several levels of common to language. We have the global, the regional, and the local one, and I think that's maybe better exposed here. This common language, what you call international, this is coming from the standards. I mean, no discussion. You've got your code explaining cooperative strengths for concrete. That's the international context, sorry. Then you have some properties, some definitions which are more market recognized. It can be at a country level, it can be at a region level, it can be for specific industry and specific associations. So that's the second level that we will be able to handle. And then you may also want, as a company, as a contractor, as an association in Norway creating templates, to have your specific properties needed for specific needs, but nobody else has to have access, or nobody is interested to have access to it. And that's the last level, that's what we call the company. So we are able to split those different levels of language, and back from the left, that's easy to agree on this one, because that's yours. Second level, market recognized, you need more people to agree on this one, because more people are involved. And when you go international, well, if you go to standards, that's easy to agree. You've got a document with a value start, this one you can put it. But still, at this level, we can have discussions. So that's the 3 different levels you can try to define. And I will not go to information requirements. I don't know. So, Aga has been clever, semantics for being clever, they have videos, I don't, so I will try to show it live. Okay. So, if someone can pray for me. So here is the website of Define, that's define.com, where you will find all the information. And for me, the most important part you may be interested in is the community and the steering committee. Because again, here we are talking about managing content. At one point, we will be able to push to bSDD to be used by the community. For me, the crucial point is this. That's the governance of the content. That's people discussing together. Is it right to put it in the dictionary? Is it wrong? If it's wrong, why? Can we find a solution? So we have started working on a governance dictionary with international members coming from foundation body, from manufacturers, from associations, federations, to discuss and to have work groups on how to create this content. So if you want to have more information about this steering committee, those work groups, you can just go to this website and check it. And then when you are ready, you can click on login, and I already did it. And here is the login page of Define. If the connection is still alive, seems to be. Yes. So when you write it tool, you will first find the dashboard, and again, this is because this tool is made for people to manage the content, not to use it. To manage it, ready to go, push to bSDD, use it. But before this, you have to be able to manage it. So that's where here you will have this landing page where you have all what has happened to your content recently. Did I have some requests? Did I have some approved requests? What are the comments? So in fact, for any concept in the dictionary that you are managing, you are able, a bit like in LinkedIn or whatever, to make comments on the concepts. And so the community can read the comments and you can start discussing, is it the right thing to do, is it not, and exchange with people and validates. When you also that's your dashboard, if you are an admin, you will be able to create what we call authority. That's where you will have the different domains that you are able to use it to do. And when you will click on a domain, you will have all the different experts who are allowed to validate your content. Meaning that if I create what's this one, architecture. If I'm creating a property related to architecture, when I will click submit, all those people will have to say, yes, this is true, or no, it's not. So I will not be able just to say, I did this property for architecture, click, push to bSDD, use it. But from Define, you have no choice. Someone has to check and validate it. That's really the point of this kind of tools. So I was talking also about common language and kind of core content. So we have some content which is construction object, units, measures, and documents. The reason is I don't think that in Germany you will really have the units we've been using in France. I'm not talking about UK on purpose, but measure, we have a definition that's measure. Physical quantities, length is a length. So that's what we call core content. This one is really specific, and you don't have to recreate it in each of your context that would be stupid. So in this part, that's really specific, but still you can, if you miss a unit, if you miss a dimension, a physical quantity, you can just request it. This will be sent to the right expert, but this content will be common. I was talking about this international lab, but context, market recognized, this one will be, the core content will be common to everyone, because there's no sense not to share it. And then I will go to the template, and here we go how it works. So for example, here I have 2,500 templates, so I will not go through them. I will search one. I will always use the same, which is Windows. So here in the dashboard, you will see that searching for window and those hits. I have the status of the window for the one who listens this model of the standard. Important to know, is the blue, is it pending evaluation from the expert, as it is refused, who has created it, and when? Well, so I will go for Windows 2.1. I will show that this is under revision for some updates. I will see the list of different versions that I have of this window, and I will see who did what on it. Something which is quite cool in my opinion too, is I will be able to say to Define, well, I will like to compare this window with the previous one, just to know what are the difference. I've been working on a construction project 2 years ago. I was using Windows 1.5, and today there is Windows 2.1. Why should I use this one and not the previous one? So with this tool, I will be able to click on compare. It will post templates, and it will tell me that I have a new translation in Portuguese for this window. There is no reason to use the previous one. It is just a translation that should be the same one. The filters change, of course, and I think some groups of properties may have been added to it. Let's check, yes. Properties for EPDs for environmental product declaration has been evolving since version 1.5. So you are able here to check really the difference between all the different versions of the concept templates property. And again, for me, that's really important to have this kind of tracking, and that's why it's important to have a tool allowing to manage this content and when it's ready to be pushed inside the window. So let's go back to my window. This is really according against to standard. I don't know who has validated, so that's our label context. That's the reason why that's popular. You have a different country where it can be used, the corresponding construction object, who has approved it, and of course, it's globally identified. Then for this window, I will know that I have 29 groups of properties describing it. Some are the properties coming from a specific standard. So if I select one, I will see that, for example, for window, I have something called bullet resistance according to blah blah blah. And if I open it in a new tab, I will be able to check all information about this property. The full names, then that's bullet resistance. There is no real measure, and there is a reference document attached to it. Then I can check the reference document. For example, we can have a look at, I don't know, that's more interesting for those days. Yeah, here you have the list of EPD properties that can be attached to a window, for example, to do a life cycle assessment calculation. Here are all the properties coming from EN 15804, if I remember, yes, that need to be used to do those kind of LCA calculations. And I'm taking this example on purpose. I will come back to that later on. But yeah, we have all these LCA properties. I will explain you later why. Here is a list of properties one by one. And then you have something called classification. That's where you will be able to say that my window in ISE4, that's corresponding to an ISE window. In Reddit, that's corresponding to oh, I can tell you, yes, 2 minus, I don't know intelligence, but that's a Reddit family. And this means that when I will hit the button to push this content to bSDD, in bSDD I will keep this link. I will have created my data template for window with the properties coming from standard, and this will be attached to an ISE window which is described in bSDD. So I will keep the link, and I think that was important for you to see it, and you can also create properties coming from standard and attach them to property coming from the ISE model. So I don't know, set window command, but I don't know which property can be connected to the property building created. So I was talking about EPD. The reason is on Swedish Pay this morning showed you his project about LCA calculation. The work is being done with the European Wood Federation in Europe, which goes 71. So they will just define to create data templates for LCA calculations. And then they have managed the content, expert checking it, validating, is it the right way to describe the window, blah, blah, blah. People read, they have a specific web page where they show the picture, and then they hit the button. My content is ready, validated, approved, hit the button, and here it is in bSDD. So now I can look for global warming potential biogenic, and here this is coming from Define. So Define has been used really to manage, validate this content. And when you are okay with it, you press the button and here it goes into bSDD. So that's the end goal. Today we wanted to know how to manage content inside bSDD. That's the solution proposed by Cotherel to work with it. And I think I'm done.
Very cool. Just I introduce myself first. I'm Yannick. I'm working for a certification body in France for housing quality, but I'm very involved in the French chapter of buildingSMART, where I'm vice chair, and I'm leading the technical committee of this chapter. Just more detail about my background. I'm not very an IT guy. I'm a former project manager from building. I worked 15 years as a building project manager. And I say that because I'm more a user than the guy who worked to develop tools. I'm really placed myself between the developers and the users to be able to translate needs into the tools. Okay. We are speaking today about terminology, semantics, and right now on project, dictionary are great, but we don't have dictionary project right now. In somehow we trying to set that use on use case for implementation, but the major part of the project, at least in France, we have some space and object nomenclature, classification systems, subject library, product catalogs, some other very not easy to use stuff, and well, it's not an efficient way to set terminology and semantics if we want to share it with other users in a collaborative process. Of course, on project, and when you want to manage data, you have several sources of data. You have some terminology from the regulations for energy or any other regulations. You have a semantics, define the standards, like for engineering, but the same for any other part of the construction industry. And the major objective of the dictionary is to set and to define those terminology with a digital way, in a dictionary, and the other part of that is to be able to link those sources of semantics, because of course when you share a model with another users, you really want that the other users understand your terminology, what you use to define your data at the same way that you are using it. So it is really the objective of the use of data dictionaries is for that it's a plurial word. We are many data dictionaries and we want to connect it, and also we want to make relation with the TIs. You know now, of course, there is a data dictionary in buildingSMART, so the bSDD. It is really not new initiative. The first release was in April 2008. But in France, like I said, it's not really used. And we have to ask ourselves as a chapter, why users still not use dictionaries and bSDD to set their terminology on project? And I'm going to try to give you an answer of that. One reason to me, it is because it is a standard that Frédéric spoke about previously. But the standards are really important for me as a user, because it is my insurance on project that terminology, that are defined on a dictionary, was made by the good organization, because as a user, I'm going to involve my responsibility on project using those data, importing those data on my model, sharing my model, perhaps use my model to some calculation for energy, timeline, structure, lineup, and I engage my responsibility using those data. So I really want those data be defined by the right organization. So it is why those standards are really important, because without that, we cannot ensure that, for example, if I define my model on the data host in the standards for structure, if those data are being defined by an unknown organization somewhere in the world, I can be sure it's true actually. It is defined by my organization body here in France, which is the AFNOR. Yeah, it's why there is more quality on it. I put a little plus with open source on the right, because at this point, I'm going to show you a tool, okay? But the question you should ask yourself is why a charter develop a tool where some, I don't know, company developers like Computer already done the work. Okay, it's just really great creation actually. And I'm going also to give you an answer of that. Just just a view of what the previous speakers said about the position of the dictionaries and the other side, the product catalogs. It's very clear process to first define the properties, organize in group of properties on dictionary to be able to set data templates, which will be used to define object library and then product catalog. So this is very clear processes to be able first to define the properties and then at the end produce product catalogs, different products. Well, in France, we decided to start a project called the Semantics Project to develop a tool able to manage the content of a dictionary, actually of bSDD. We decided to do that because in France, I'm representing buildingSMART, and my members and some users in France asking me, as a buildingSMART, why do you push bSDD in France without a proper tool to be able to manage it? And it's very good. I don't have any answer on that. Okay? bSDD is a great tool, but without a tool to be able to manage the content, to create the content, to access the content properly, and completely with the standards, yeah, they don't use it at the same person. Okay? That is really why, as a French chapter, we decided to start this project, because our member asked us to provide that, to be able to use bSDD and to be able to develop the use of bSDD in France. But I'm pretty sure it's the same for other countries and not just chapter. Well, our tool it is made to define data dictionary and data template. We don't want to deal with the other part of object library, product catalogs. It's not our part. It's not bSDD. It is something else using the data host in a dictionary. So we focus our tool and our work on those parts. Our tool, we have a web application like the others to be able to manage, access the content of bSDD. Anyone who try to make some research on bSDD right now with the actual tool, bSDD is not easy, not users friendly to access the content. So we develop a more user-friendly access for the content to read it, but also to manage it, to create content. Of course, we are linked with bSDD. Okay, it is a tool to manage the content of bSDD. So the common hosting space for the dictionary managed by Semantics for BIM is hosted in bSDD. We have an extended hosting database because we have to host more information dealing with the workflow used to define the properties in the dictionary with Semantics for BIM. We cannot have that and host that actually in the bSDD. So we had to develop another database to be able to do that. And we have some APIs compliant with the proper ISO standards to be able to read, write, and access the content for every other use cases that you saw previously. We have we are fully compliant with the ISO standards, so we have different level of access in our tool. We have completely free access for users. Anyone will be able to access the content of bSDD using our tool to read it, and we want to have that free because it will be more easier to access the content of bSDD using that. And we are buildingSMART, we're a parent charter, so it's normal for us to provide that at a free level. We have something very important to me. It is a graph viewer, because as a user, I have the experience that this kind of viewer to see the relation between the entities, the properties, the object on the dictionary is very useful to explain to other users how the dictionary works, what is actually a relation between two entities, and it is quite a fun way to see that, to develop the content of the dictionary. But it's quite very important to have that, so we add that on our power tool. I can show more video about the workflow. It will be so we're in Semantics for BIM. We're creating a dictionary. It is just a demo, so it's a demo for this summit. We can choose a language, of course. And in this solution, this tool, I will be able to manage my users. Okay, so it's free for all users to access, but I'm going to say who are the experts able to create, validate the content, okay, and manage it. I can set the area of expertise to organize the work of my experts. Okay, this is the requirement of the ISO standards to be able to have experts dealing with specific domain of expertise, area of expertise, and in charge to verify and validate that the development, the creation, the management of the dictionary is well done, actually. I'm linking my users to the area of expertise. I can both ways, actually. I can do that in the user part to link the users to the area of expertise, and I can also define the area of expertise and define which users is in it. And now I'm going to show how to propose a modification on, or to create, actually, here it's to create, to modify the same dictionary, content on the dictionary. So we just set something we call the workspace to be able to work on a dictionary without modifying it, without the validation of the experts, of course. So I'm here in a specific workspace. I can do everything on the content of the dictionary. I can push as a contributor any modification for a specific dictionary. I can create a dictionary, and after that, when I will validate the content of the dictionary, the experts will be informed of it, but they can refuse the contribution. Okay? This is very important. I can just modify the content of a dictionary just because I want it. Okay? It is the purpose of the ISO standards, and it is the purpose of this tool too. So I define some properties. Here I'm defining some objects. I will link, of course, the properties to the object to be able to set some data templates. All of the properties and one of the metadata of this tool are just compliant with the ISO standards. Our tool is very easy implementation of the ISO standards on the tools usable by experts from every kind of work. Okay? We really want a tool easy to use for the experts of for engineering architects. It is us who are to define the content of the tool because what to say exactly? As a users, I know my work, okay? And as a users, as an expert of this particular work, it is my charge to define the content of the dictionary. So I'm organizing my classification, my objects, and my data templates, actually, just by drag and drop it in the view. I'm adding properties to the object to define data template. What I want to show you with this demonstration, it is all of the workflow necessary to be compliant with the ISO standards, with the interaction, with the validation by experts are implemented in those tools, and it is very important. I want to add something that if we don't have this kind of tool on bSDD to be able to manage the content, okay, somehow we can push everything on bSDD without this kind of tool to be able to ensure that experts validate the content of the dictionary. We will have by the time in bSDD many contents and compliant with the ISO standards, and I can ensure you it will be a mess. Okay, it will be by the time unusable because we cannot be sure that the content was defined by a good organization, like I said. Okay. Just to finish, the tool is ready. Okay, we developed it last year. We did a hackathon. It was a French-speaking hackathon. Sorry for the others. I think we will try to do that at the international level later. We had a lot of attendees, more than expected actually. So we're quite happy because I think we are the users, and we give an answer to a real use, a real expectation in France. We have more participants and attendees in the part of data dictionary creation than in the part of content use for other tools. It was quite a surprise for this tool, but a good one. We have two participants. We managed to award it. We have two participants to create a very good dictionary. The first one is Aiello building. We set a very dictionary for this purpose. We will present that very quickly. And there's also one by Cianciulli, who developed a dictionary, two dictionaries actually, one for wood and the other for explosive device soldering regulation. So it's very field. Yeah. Just quick word about the work of Aegis. Aegis have a very defined process to set properties useful for their usage on project, and they just need a tool to be able to expose that, to be able to use that on tools. For now, they work on Excel sheets, and they need the tool to be able to host that and to expose that for tools. Okay, so they participate to the hackathon as a revised interested by this tool. This is an example of the Excel sheet that they push into semantics topic. They really want also to connect their work to other content like IFC, but also like the work done by the French government in the project called PLP. The French government a few years ago worked on a dictionary for the whole construction industry. The other work done by Sienna, I said, was about wood dictionary, but I want to make a stop on it. It was not just wood as a material for construction, it was wood as an object, as a tree, actually. It was quite interesting for us, because the objective of the work was to define what the property required to define a tree as wood as a tree, or a tree as wood. And probably to use it on project to be able to use the property on calculation for the environment. And it was a very interesting way to think the use of dictionary. So we like a lot this work. Well, I'm going to finish. I don't know where I'm with the time.
We got 7 minutes.
Oh, good. Like I said, the tool is ready. We have a website where you can access more detail, and you will also have my contact, the contact of the Michelangelo, which is in charge of this tool for buildingSMART France. Do not hesitate to go to the website. Do not hesitate to contact us for more detail about this tool, to have more detail about why we set the tool as a charter. I hope I give you some answers. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. So I've got a guy you have to talk to from our chapter, the US chapter.
Okay.
Aaron Costa. Yep. So he's also developing a tool because we're trying to establish a US data dictionary. So we have a hub for when things are developed for the US National BIM standard, or when we have other organizations that want to publish to the data dictionary, that they come through us for national-based stuff. So it's a similar model. So a great mentor to look at. So, all right.
I'm for that.
Any other questions from anyone? We have time, a couple more minutes, 5 more minutes. Questions? No?
Well, I do have one question. I was wondering what the
Hold on a second.
Sorry. So thank you for the presentation. Very impressive. I had a chance to see Yannick present on that bSDD before in a buildingSMART group with Quebec and Canada. Thank you, Frédéric. What I would like to know is there a good buy-in from industry players into this bSDD? What's the buy-in so far? What's the participation or the interest?
The first answer I will take my own BSDD chat. People are starting to do this. So that's still starting, just to be clear. But more and more, and thanks to companies like that, who are able to demonstrate how we can use it, how we can take advantage of this funds. And first, thanks to companies like DigiBase, who made the first video for the SketchUp plugin, who is still ready for all minutes. And that's how people started to understand, oh, this is what I can do with the issue. So that's the only way people understand exactly what is to here just starting. We've seen yesterday on Facebook, Jeremy showed us that they are working on the same kind of things because people are asking for it. Now they understand there is something to do, so people start to ask. Okay, the content to BSD, you see NACA, you see in France, you see Computer, yesterday it was Germany, showing that was GQ. So we have tools to provide us content, and now we have plugins. ICA, GBase is providing plugins, we have seen plugins ready to use BSD content, so this is slowly starting. So that's not, that's okay, let's be clear. But that's why we are here, to push for it. And well, with some, again, with something more tools, using it, people will be more and more involved. At least I don't. But maybe you have a better answer than mine, because you have the tools you need. Okay. You want to say something, Yannick?
You know, I believe in Europe there is also a huge consortium of universities that's working on providing access to products, manufacturing products such as wood products, for example, through a similar solution. I don't know the name of it, unfortunately. I know that in Canada there's a bureau called the Wood Export Bureau, Quebec Wood Export Bureau that has that with the U.S. representative. I'm wondering, did you hear about it, and do you have connections to that?
No, I do not. No. Okay, as we wrap up, I'm just going to do something for our online audience. Everybody, wave, say hi. Hello, we wish you were here. We're all enjoying our time here in Montreal. We're just about wrapped up for the day. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us. Thank all of you for joining us online. Thank you all today.